13, 2024, News Report 1. News Report 1. On June 12, the U.S. Treasury Department announced an expansion of secondary sanctions against Russia, causing widespread panic among Russian citizens. Many Russians rushed to banks to withdraw cash. Videos on Twitter showed large crowds already queuing at banks early in the morning on June 13, even before the banks had opened. However, the banks have imposed a limit on single withdrawals, capping them at 10,000 rubles. Major Russian banks have shut down their websites, preventing customers from logging in and making transfers. Otkritie International Bank notified its customers that, starting July 1, it will no longer offer login and transfer services, nor will it distribute interest. The Central Bank of Russia announced an increase in the key interest rate to 16% in hopes of encouraging people to deposit their cash back into banks. The Moscow Stock Exchange has suspended trading in US dollars and euros, and Alibaba has stopped accepting payments in rubles. The Central Bank of Russia has devalued the ruble to a minimum exchange rate of 36 rubles to $1 US, but some banks are already offering an actual rate of 50 rubles to $1 US. On the black market, the selling price has soared to 200 rubles per dollar, while the buying rate remains at 50 rubles per dollar. The official exchange rate floor is 36 rubles, while on the forex market, $1 now equals 88 rubles, a 1% devaluation from the previous day. These signs indicate that Russia's foreign exchange reserves are under severe strain. Russian netizens have expressed that President Putin has successfully placed 4,500 Russian defense entities and foreign financial institutions that deal with these entities under sanctions. They fear that Russia might be on the brink of a new financial storm. News Report 2. The Taiwan Ministry of National Defense announced that on June 10, the U.S. Department of Defense informed Taiwan that on June 12, 23 PLA aircraft and 7 PLA naval vessels were operating around the Taiwan Strait. Among these, 19 aircraft crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait and entered Taiwan's eastern and southwestern airspace. Notably, one PLA drone crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait, flew east, bypassed southern Taiwan, and approached Hualien, coming as close as 39 nautical miles to the city. This is the first time a PLA drone has approached Hualien so closely. Since June 8, PLA activities around the Taiwan Strait have been increasing. On June 8, there were 9 aircraft and 7 naval vessels. On June 9, there were again 9 aircraft and 7 naval vessels. On June 10, the number rose to 11 aircraft and 8 naval vessels. On June 11, there were 13 aircraft and 9 naval vessels, and on June 12, the number reached 23 aircraft and 7 naval vessels. Additionally, PLA drones have been dropping leaflets over Kinmen, and a former PLA captain even attempted to cross to Tamsui in a speedboat. These activities indicate an increasing level of gray zone warfare by the PLA against Taiwan, leading to a continuous escalation of tensions in the Taiwan Strait. News Report 3. Xinhua News Agency reported that on June 13, Chinese Premier Li Qiang met with New Zealand Prime Minister Chris Hipkins in Wellington. Both sides agreed to expand the scale of trade and investment cooperation and to initiate negotiations on a negative list for service trade. The two countries signed a series of cooperation documents covering Chinese agricultural exports, service trade, business environment, and technology patent reviews. After the meeting, Li Qiang and Hipkins jointly addressed the press. Li Qiang announced that China will include New Zealand in its list of countries eligible for unilateral visa exemptions. He emphasized that although there are differences on certain issues, these differences should not become obstacles to bilateral exchanges and cooperation. China will continue to view and handle relations with New Zealand from a strategic and long-term perspective. Hipkins noted that half of the meeting was devoted to discussing differences between the two sides. He highlighted several sensitive issues during the meeting, including New Zealand's stance against any foreign interference, concerns about the situation in the South China Sea, and China's human rights issues. China is New Zealand's largest trading partner. The two countries signed a bilateral free trade agreement in 2008. In 2023, bilateral trade volume reached 36 billion New Zealand dollars, equivalent to about $22 billion US. However, in recent years, New Zealand has been striving to reduce its economic dependence on China and has increasingly leaned towards the US in terms of security, even considering joining AUKUS. Li Chang's visit brought New Zealand a small carrot in the form of visa exemptions. New Zealand is in dire need of visas to China and hopes to leverage this economic cooperation to strengthen ties with China, but the current situation has changed. News Report 4. The Korea JoongAng Daily reported that in mid-May, delegations from Japan and North Korea held talks in Mongolia. North Korea sent 3 officials from its intelligence agency, the Reconnaissance General Bureau, and the Foreign Exchange Department. The Japanese delegation included politicians, indicating that Japan is seriously considering dialogue with North Korea. Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga said at a press conference on June 13 that Japan is working with North Korea through various channels but cannot provide specific answers due to the nature of the situation. He noted that there have been a series of diplomatic interactions between Japan and North Korea this year. On January 5, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un sent a condolence message to Japan following the Noto Peninsula earthquake, which was very unusual. On February 15, Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, stated that Kim Jong-un could meet with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida if Japan acknowledges that the issue of North Korea abducting Japanese citizens is resolved. On March 26, Kim Yo-jong asserted that Japan lacks the courage to change history and that North Korea refused any contact with Japan. Analysts believe that North Korea demanded Japan not bring up denuclearization and abduction issues during a potential leaders' meeting. However, Japan insisted that the abduction issue is a priority topic for the talks, prompting North Korea to change its stance and cancel the proposed meeting. On May 11, Fumio Kishida reiterated his hope to hold a summit with North Korea to resolve various bilateral issues. Hong Min, a senior researcher at the Korea Institute for National Unification, believes that improving Japan-North Korea relations requires overcoming many obstacles. The U.S. Japan-South Korea Security Cooperation Framework and structural difficulties with sanctions against North Korea present significant challenges. Therefore, despite the desire for prompt negotiations, progress will not be easy. News Report 5. According to Xinhua News Agency, on June 12, Chinese President Xi Jinping delivered a video address commemorating the 60th anniversary of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD. In his speech, Xi emphasized that China will always be a developing country and a part of the global South. China advocates for inclusive and equitable economic globalization and promotes the liberalization and facilitation of trade and investment. She stressed that all countries should practice genuine multilateralism to achieve equal and orderly global governance, supporting multilateral institutions like UNCTAD to play a better role. He also called for strengthened governance of artificial intelligence under the UN framework, allowing developing countries to better integrate into the digital, intelligent, and green trends. Xi's speech indicated China's willingness to act as a leader for the global South, using multilateralism to balance Western influence. Delivering this speech via video also expressed China's attention and support for UNCTAD. News Report 6. On June 12, China's Ministry of State Security published an article titled, Confidentiality and 6 Yuan, on its official WeChat account. The article narrated the story of a retired worker, Zhang Dai, who spent 6 yuan at a recycling station to buy 4 books labeled Confidential and Secret. Zhang immediately called the Ministry of State Security to report his find. Ministry staff promptly arrived at the recycling station, recovered all the classified materials, and conducted an investigation and confidentiality education for the station's owner. The investigation revealed that Guo Enli from a military unit sold over 200 classified documents, meant to be destroyed, as waste to the recycling station, earning more than 20 yuan. The Ministry of State Security has initiated a comprehensive investigation and handling of the incident. Analysts believe that this move by the ministry aims to create a sense of urgency to justify its various actions. News Report 7. On June 12, the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, CCDI, reported that Yang Zixing, Vice Governor of Gansu Province, is under investigation. Yang is the 32nd centrally managed cadre to be investigated this year. Centrally managed cadres are officials managed by the central government. This year, 32 such officials have fallen, indicating issues in the central government's cadre management. Within just 6 months, 32 officials have been toppled. Yang, aged 65, has long worked in Gansu. He has held positions such as Deputy Secretary of Longnan Municipal Committee, Mayor and Secretary of Dingxi City, and Executive Deputy Minister of Gansu Province's Organization Department. In 2015, he became Vice Governor of Gansu Province, retiring in January 2018. Notably, both of Yang's superiors during his tenure as Vice Governor were investigated. The then Provincial Party Secretary, Wang Sanyun, was sentenced to 12 years in prison for bribery in 2019. The then governor, Tang Renjian, was investigated on May 18 this year while serving as Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs. Additionally, during Yang's tenure as mayor and secretary of Dingxi City, both his predecessor and successor were also investigated. Yang's predecessor, Wu Wenbin, was sentenced to 10 years for bribery, and his successor, Zhang Lingping, was sentenced to 14 years for bribery. This reveals a serious corruption issue in the positions Yang held, known as a nest case. Despite retiring 6 years ago, Yang is still being investigated, highlighting the severity and complexity of the case. News Report 8. On June 13, the Central Meteorological Observatory continued to issue an orange alert for high temperatures, with expected temperatures in Hebei, Shandong, and Hunan reaching 40 to 42 degrees Celsius. According to China Weather Network data, the highest temperature at noon on June 13 was 40.8 degrees Celsius in Weinan, Shaanxi Province, with Yang and Xinjiang in Hunan Province closely following at 40.7 degrees, ranking second and third respectively. The Beijing Daily WeChat public account interviewed Wei Ku, deputy director of the Monsoon System Research Center of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Wei stated that with global warming, China needs to be prepared to deal with extreme high temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius. He pointed out that extreme heat not only directly harms human health but also exacerbates droughts and wildfires, impacting agriculture and urban power systems, severely affecting the national economy and people's livelihoods. To cope with extreme heat, society needs to enhance its ability to adapt to climate change. Wei suggested the following measures: accelerating the transformation of urban cement and asphalt surfaces, restoring vegetation and natural surfaces in urban roads and squares, increasing more green coverage, installing more shading facilities in public places, improving the insulation performance of buildings, and enhancing the heat resistance and ventilation capabilities of cities. Extreme heat also poses significant challenges to urban power systems due to the increased demand for air conditioning. The Central Committee needs to further study and resolve this issue to meet the demand for air conditioning use.